Due to the unpredictability of Leksur's behavior, listener discretion is advised. The VoT Network presents the Voices of Terminus show with your hosts Yarnila, Leksur, and Joshua.
Hello everyone and welcome to the VoT. For some unknown reason, Leksur's out of focus, so let me go and fix that real quick.
It's because I am too powerful for this reality. I am phasing out.
That's what we're going to go with?
I said it all.
Or it could be that the camera's out of focus. Either way. I choose the former.
I had it all going on.
Well, that's what happens when you try to infringe upon the copyright of my appearance.
So as you can see, Josh isn't here with us. He's got to take some time off today.
He's being punished anyway.
Yeah, he is. There we go. We fixed Leksur. So
it's going to take more than that to fix me.
If Grizzly is listening, Grizzly will be our guest for next week's show as we sit down with Grizzly for a player Q&A.
Oh God, another paladin.
I will get you those questions over this weekend, so the latest by Sunday you should have the questions for the show to prepare yourself for doom and gloom. So we're going to carry on with what we did last week with the Pantheon Ponderings and chit-chat about some of these tweets, posts from VR and see where we stand. Right, let's have a look. So let's go kick it off, Lex. We'll start with July. Was the one with hot topic? Gambling in games. What is your take on it? Jump into the discussion here. There's a link there on that tweet. So we've actually even talked about this on one of our very earlier shows, talking about gambling in games where the players could basically take part in arena battle, place bets, stipulations on how the fight would commerce. So if like a rogue normally has daggers and everything, you give now a pike or something like that to fight, and it all depends on where they go with this gambling in games. As long as there's no loot boxes and stuff like that to purchase. They had the Goblin in EverQuest 2. I don't know if they have it in EverQuest. The Lotto Goblin, where you could basically spend 50 silver and play a kind of lottery system where you could win some plat. Things like that. I don't know what my take is on this. It would have to be very well thought through to bring this into a fantasy game like Pantheon. There would have to be some kind of limitations, I think, personally, for me to get used to it. What about you, Lex? Gambling in-game, yes or no? Good, bad?
I'm for it, but only as long as you keep real-world money out of it. I mean, you're paying a subscription for the game in most cases, or at least in Pantheon's case, you'd be paying a subscription. So adding an additional real money sink in a way is a big no-no in my corner, I guess. If you're going to add like bar games like dice or just a simple card game, or you could maybe even do the diplomacy system style game, and you place bets against an NPC or another player, if those games are done really well, then I'm going to be spending a lot of my money there.
It would be fun to have something like that happen in Tavern, where you can actually just sit down rather than go out and adventure. You want to sing yourself out of the day, out of your hours spent in game with your friends and everything. You just want to go and sit down in a tavern. Not quite ready to log off yet, but you're not really ready to go and do some dungeon exploration, so you sit in a tavern and play some card games or whatever they have, so hammering a nail
Right.
into wood or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I can see tavern games being something to where if you're waiting for a raid or you're waiting for your guild mates or friends or whatever to just log in to go do something, you can spend 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes in the tavern playing those games. Maybe you get lucky, maybe you don't.
Yeah.
But it passes the time. The question is, do you make this like a high roller style type gambling game? Like, are you going to go play dice at the tavern and put down 10,000 platinum? Or is it going to be limited to say like maybe 100 tops?
So if I think about this a little bit further, this might be something we'll have to do on a separate show as well. Is if we look at all the individual races, right? And you look at the lore of these races, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of things you could identify where you could add this gambling to. Like if you think about the Scar like fighting each other and everything. So you could place like bets on, who's gonna, which Scar's gonna survive this battle and fight, and look at the orcs or the Darkmere, the gnomes. There's so much you could do for the individual races as well. That's another thing that I would really love to see is that inns, taverns look uniquely different based on the lore of each individual race. So a tavern isn't necessarily a tavern. Maybe they have different rule sets. Maybe they have different behavioral patterns when you go in there. So if you're like a human and you walk into a Scar tavern, they're going to look at you weird. They're just, it's dead silence. Everybody's looking at you and ready to pounce on you or something like that. Those kind of things. Different behavioral patterns, different looks for each individual race, and have different kind of gambling games. Like for instance, you could have maybe the Scar. You could bet on your fortune. Have a shaman or something like that. Throw bones on the table and kind of read your future or something like that to pay.
Right. Well, even if you don't, you can go like a general sense of this, but you can use influence from races.
Mm-hmm.
For example, humans are pretty easy. You can use dice, cards, whatever. Ogres, Scar, you could use a battle arena, and you could even just be like, betting on NPC, not necessarily PC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It all depends on how in depth a developer would want to go with this. You could do it either way. With gnomes, you could do something like say a magical formula. You have to figure out a puzzle first. Mm-hmm. Kind of like you sitting with one of your best friends trying to see who can do a Rubik's Cube the first, or the fastest. With a Darkmere, you could have
swimming.
You could have a swimming mini game where you have to actually swim through ring.
Exactly. With only one lung.
Not even gonna. Darkmere is such an easy target. With halflings, you could do a platformer through trees.
Yeah.
There really is a huge amount of options here.
Yeah.
But I think what this one really comes down to is just keep real money out of it, and we're golden.
Definitely. So let people use, in-game currencies, whatever they're going to be, how many there are going to be, to do their gambling.
Let me take out a second mortgage on my guild hall so that I can go play dice in the tavern.
Yeah.
Please.
That's the day you get an ass kicking, buddy. If you have
I can see it now. Yarn would be like, why did you do this? Like, I'm still going, Daddy's got to roll one more time.
Lex, we can't get into our guild hall. There's a foreclosure on it. What the hell?
Not my fault. Blame Josh, he's not here.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on. So, gambling and games. What do you guys think in chat as well? It'd be good to hear what you guys think. Isn't that called an auction house?
This is true.
It's true, yes. It's also a gamble.
But that's more of like an economy themed gambling game, where the more you track your items and prices, the better you're gonna do.
All right, so let's go move on to July 4th then. But we're going to fly through these today. So, would you rather spend a full 24-hour day, real life 24 hours, in Pantheon as a patrolling guard, or as a random boss spawn? You may or may not be killed, raided, or see any adventures. What would you choose?
Oh, hands down, I'd be the boss mob, because I would be taunting people, even if it's just in a single zone shout channel. I would just be going off. Just my mouth would be going a mile a minute. And the minute one player comes in the zone, it's going to spread like wildfire, and then I'm going to Goomba stomp me some healers.
Yeah. I have to say I would be the random boss spawn, because a patrolling guard running around going "G'day mate" to everybody would just drive me mad. 24 hours, no way.
Make me a quest NPC, like, here's your shit and take your shit and get out.
Yeah,
I don't think this is really any real hard decision, because it's like a guard. What are you gonna do? You're gonna stand there. Maybe you're gonna attack some people. Okay, but you're a guard. Chances are you're going to be held within the limitations of a guard, and not going to be able to attack players unless they attack you first, or you're going to be able to attack NPCs. You might be stuck within a certain wandering path. I mean, who knows? Yeah. But when you're a boss spawn, the whole point of a boss is for players to come at you.
Well, you're a random boss spawn. You're not a boss spawn. You're a random boss. So you may be spawned or you may not be.
No, I think random I think in this context, they're basically saying like in a random area where people may not find you. But trust me, when I start running my mouth, they will find me. Even if the zone is empty for 20 minutes.
Lex, you don't need to run your mouth at all. People find you anyway.
This is true. I have a natural ability of, I'm like a magnet for special people,
That's a good idea. We raid the city. That's a good idea, actually. A bunch of random boss spawns, and we all raid a city.
Yep.
And looks like Texan would even take bribes as a patrolling guard. That's what would make him choose to become a guard. Bribed. That's also a possibility.
Maybe, but I mean, what are they bribing you for?
Exactly. To let you
why? Yeah, it's like, why bribe one patrolling guard that is a player when there's more you're going to have to potentially bribe that you can't bribe because they're NPC?
Yeah.
I say just make me a boss, put me in any zone, and just let me Goomba stomp everything, and eventually players will take me down.
Definitely. Well, I'd be unkillable. That's the point.
No, that's no fun. That is no fun.
We would find a way. We would find a way.
We'd be like, just save me, Madaki! Kill him!
I have to get a GM to GM kill me.
And if you were a boss mob that was unkillable, I have a feeling that a couple people from VR would be fighting each other to log on first to kill you.
We shall see.
Not me though. Me, I'd be lovable, so no one would.
Yeah, okay. Right. Oh, so Tex says because guards know where the bottles are. So July.
So do
8th.
I. Just smell the air and you can know which direction.
Yeah, I'm the boss mob of a brothel. So there you have it. So July 8th, community debate: shared bank storage with your account, or separate bank storage for separate characters. Please explain your answer. So, for me, personally, I think a separate bank storage for each character. Now, that's what I've grown up to know. While it was, what they did have in EverQuest 2, that shared slot where you had basically your personal bank storage, and then they had those 4 slots underneath that they basically expanded over time. I think it's now 8 slots you've got now for your account. Because I'm not really it's a mixed feeling for me. While I do utilize the possibility of shifting items around my account, kind of take the easy road. At the end of the day, it should be earned in my personal feeling. It should be earned what you get and everything. And if we think about how they're going to handle the loot, well, in Pantheon, Lex, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not going to be soulbound. There are going to be certain items that are soulbound, correct?
From what I'm remembering, the majority of items will not be soulbound, but they were strongly considering recommended levels to where the gear would scale.
Yeah. And
to help alleviate twinking.
And I do like the idea, though, the way VR have taken the whole, approach to the loot, and I do hope that this is something where, even though I've used a piece of gear, if a friend comes along or somebody that I see a lobby or whatever, somebody new to the game, I've got this piece of extra gear that I don't really use anymore, I can pass it on to him. I think that's a great thing, a great way of, engaging the community and helping each other out. But bank storage, I think we should all have, separate bank slots for each character. I'm a loot whore. I basically literally collect everything and I don't throw anything away. So, I basically have too much and then I go in there, have a look at stuff and see, do I still need this? Quest item. Sometimes you get items that they don't have any description on it or anything like that, and you always think, maybe this is something later, or housing items. I used to have tons of housing items. I just couldn't get rid of them.
Right.
So I think having separate bank storage. What about you?
I'm actually a fan of both.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is one place where EverQuest probably they just hit the nail on the head. You do have your own individual character bank, but you have very limited shared bank.
Yeah.
This is good because, for instance, if I'm on an alt and I'm playing with some friends or guildies or some random people that I like, and I have something that someone can use that I'm not going to sit in the bank, it's easier for me at the end of our little excursion to say, hey, follow me to the bank.
Yep.
Here you go. Rather than log out, which usually takes, 30 seconds. Log back in, which takes a couple seconds. If I'm not in that town, travel to that town. Then find the bank. Get that item from the bank. Find that person again and hand them that item.
So how would you want this done though? Right? Let's go and explore this a little bit. I'm on the same page, having your separate one and a limited shared bank. But let's say, because you just touched on something there. Now let's say, for instance, banks are local, based on your race, where you're bound or whatever. Would you want your shared bank slot to be global, and your personal bank to still be local, bound to wherever your bank is or whatever? Would you like to see something like that, or do you think that's a bit overkill?
Okay, so let's assume banks by nature are not global. So you come to a town, you basically say, transfer my bank account to this area. So that means my personal one would be in Thronefast, we'll say. I think it makes more sense for the shared stuff to be global. But because of that, I say you should limit it even further. Because if you give it too much, you diminish the meaning of the fact that the banks are local.
Yeah.
But if you don't give enough, it's not really worth using. So, like the way EverQuest did it was you had, I want to say, 2 inventories worth of slots in your bank, which could be filled up with bags, which could, greatly increase the space. But your shared bank was only, I think, 2 slots. So even if you got gigantic bags, you're looking at maybe 24 items.
Mm.
You know, which you think that sounds like a lot of items, but it really isn't.
So since you talk about bags as well, in the MMOs of the past, you could only put items into the the shared slots. Now, if you have bags, for instance, would you want to be able to like fill a bag up with goodies and be able to just toss that bag into the shared bank slot?
Yes.
Yeah, same here. I think that's a much needed quality of life feature at the end of the day.
It's one of those things where if you don't do it that way, it's going to feel so antiquated that it's going to turn people off.
Yeah.
Because when you pick up a bag that's in your inventory, you assume everything that's in it goes with it. Because, I mean, granted, ain't nobody carrying 12 bags or 8 bags or however many it was back in the queue. But still, you pick up a bag that has stuff in it, put it over here. You expect the items to be in that bag.
Yeah.
I can't even fathom it not working that way. Because I think that would drive me completely nuts.
Another one as well the chat's talking about is a shared slot for just for mats. Wow.
Right.
I think that's a good idea actually. If we could separate the way the banks work in general, so you have like a storage for your personal items, but you also have storage for your mats that you've gathered for crafting, crafting materials. I think that would be a pretty cool way to kind of separate the two.
If you look at the shared slots as technically just 2 inventory slots, like EQ, I'm just going to use that as an You could have a bag specifically designed for crafting mats that's just a larger bag.
Yeah.
So a general purpose bag, we'll say, is 8 slots. But if you were to get a crafting bag, maybe that's 12 or 14 slots because there is just so many mats that are needed. And then all of a sudden now you have to choose, do I want to have 16 slots of just general items, or do I want to have 8 slots general items and then 12 whatever additional slots for just crafting?
But let's go and expand this shared bank storage though. Let's go and look at guilds, for instance. That was one of the quality of life features I loved about EverQuest 2 was when they brought in the guild storage boxes. They had storage boxes for ammo, they had storage boxes for potions, they had storage boxes for food, for crafting materials, collectibles and everything. And I thought that was absolutely brilliant. A brilliant quality of life feature, very much needed, with the limitation. Would you like to see something like that for guilds as well, where they could actually craft their own storage boxes for the entire guild and with certain access points allow people to take or put into it, or have certain have unrestricted access or limited access? Would you think that's a cool feature to have?
I think we're at the point now in the evolution of MMOs that if you're going to have guilds, you've got to have a guild. You got to. Because most guilds like to bank stuff that they're no longer using, that maybe they want to have any guild to be able to just grab it and go.
Yeah.
But with that kind of thing also requires a fairly robust permission system, because you don't want someone to just join your guild, pull out 10,000 platinum worth of gear and go sell it. There has to be some form of protection to us so that doesn't happen. But like, I'm still playing on the EverQuest EMU server. We just joined a new server that's been out for a little bit, and there is no shared bank yet because we're just not that far along. And it is a gigantic pain in my rear trying to gather pelts and hides and silks and ores and all this other just stuff that I don't care about. I just want to get it for other people, but I have to hold on to this crap. until this person logs in or someone that logs in that can use it. And then I have to try and track them down beyond at the same time as them, find where all this stuff is in my bank, hand it over. At which point it was like, God, just give me a guild bank.
So what about something like, you know, you have your instance bank. So let's picture this. The bank is shared throughout your account. Period. You know, you got all these slots and everything. But when you log on to your individual character, it's you still have that instance portion of it. But you can log on to any character and you can see all the items that each character basically has, even the ones that are instance. And then there's an option for you to basically move it over.
I think I would be fine with that. That's a lot of work for devs. To where your banking interface is more of a bank manager, rather than just a here's my bank, put junk in it and pull junk out.
Yeah.
I would personally utilize it, but if you're going to go that far, I say don't even bother with shared bank. Because if you're going to be able to take stuff from your alt, transfer it to yours, there's no need for a shared bank. But it's kind of a good idea too from a developer's point of view, because you can add a cache sync here.
Yeah.
You can say, to transfer these 500 spider silks and this breastplate, it's going to cost you 57 gold pieces. And you're like, okay, go. Well, show me a list of all my items that are in transit, but give me an option to like speed it up at like double or triple the cost. You know, it's like if you got the money and you need this now, then you need to pay. But with that being said, that's also something that would give a solid foundation for like a caravan system to sit on. Now, you don't have to go super in depth and be like, you know, this caravan gets attacked, these items don't make it. Don't even bother. I mean, it'd be great, but too much work and too much possibility for frustration. But you could artificially have a caravan system that's like, this is for transferring bank items.
Yeah.
And people's minds would make the connection, even if that connection doesn't actually exist behind the scene. So, in the end, I think a bank management system, I would be more for that than the old EverQuest personal bank, shared bank kind of solution.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go and move on to the next, which is July 11th. And this is a scenario. You're caught stealing in a marketplace, which, you know, obviously we will witness with Leksur. We all know what he's like. You can either
I'm an angel!
You can either bribe the shopkeeper, kill them, or run and try and deal with the guards. What are you choosing and why? Lex, go for it.
Kill everybody and their families, and then burn the town down. And then make a necklace of NPC ears, just to remember, just so you can look back at those good times and laugh.
I think I would run and try and deal with the guards, like, you know, without trying to kill anybody. I'd try and just, you know, leg it, be off, gone. Because I am pretty fast, so I am pretty.
You're a fish. You don't run fast.
Hey,
maybe when it rains.
I'd slip into the sewers and surf my way out of the sewage.
So whenever you're going to go steal from the marketplace, let me know, and I'll go get some Taco Bell first. That way you have a tidal wave to help get you out of town.
Right, so there you have it. That's the scenario.
Yeah, kill them. They dare oppose me. Kill them.
So July 15th. Or would you rather? Would you rather be a skeleton or zombie for one whole in-game day in Pantheon, and why?
Skeleton.
Yeah, same here. I fell in love with that.
Yeah, I was gonna say you've got the noises, You've got a pretty iconic look. You're going to be still super creepy in a dungeon. Plus, I can walk around and tell everybody I've got I got tons of bad jokes that I can tell people, like, I got a bone to pick with you, or hey,
Yeah.
I got a bone for you.
Lex, you hit my
Or,
funny bone.
with a zombie, you can just be like, I'm just a skeleton in a meat suit, and I smell really bad.
Alright, so let's go have a look at July 18th. We're flying through these.
When you're good, you're good.
In one word. Now this is one this is in one word, right? So Lex, in one word, explain how you feel about DPS meters.
Wait, I can't swear, so
Hornswoggle.
crap.
Yeah, Hornswoggle.
Crap. No, they're crap. They're crap. They granted, there are good uses of damage meters, especially if like you're a raid leader.
Yeah.
You can find people who are struggling and then help them without making a big scene about it. But the problem with them is that this is the standard upon which all people assume they are the best.
Yeah, it's something that basically, the general idea was brilliant behind it. DPS meters to kind of manage a raid and see, where the DPS is coming from. But then it got misused, abused by the players and the devs themselves. And all it became about at the end was DPS. And they assumed that if you're a level 30 wizard, you should do X amount of DPS. If you're not doing that, you're crap.
And here's what I've told people since frickin' 1999. A dead DPS does no damage.
Mm.
I would take someone who does good DPS, but knows how to DPS and doesn't pull threat, versus the person who just hits every cooldown 4 seconds into a pull, gets smacked and dies. But they still did more damage than anybody else. Like, but now we have to spend time rezzing you because you were an idiot.
Exactly.
All because you want to be on the top of that meter.
I'd rather have the fight, take 5-10 minutes longer, but have a, through the board, people standing, living, surviving over rezzing 20,000 times because, over nuking and overkill any day. It's not all about, because that's the one thing that really just turned me off with EverQuest 2. One of the biggest reasons why I left is it just became about DPS. There was no more challenge. There was no more tactics or strategy towards any of the encounters. You just went into that zone and you had to DPS. If you didn't reach a certain number with your raid or with your group, you had no chance of defeating the encounter, so you had to go and figure it all out. And that's what it became, a massive DPS smash.
And back in EQ when I was a raider, we still technically had DPS meters because we would always parse the logs, but that was after the fact. The biggest problem with DPS meters is that you're seeing it in real time.
Yeah.
Okay. And what that does is people start seeing themselves dropping, and they start doing stupid things to get back to number one, or to get a bigger gap between them and the person they're making fun of.
Yeah.
It's a tool that has been used poorly.
Definitely.
By players indulging to stroke their ego instead of trying to accomplish a challenge.
Yep.
And I don't fault people for using them. I really don't.
They do have their value.
I fault people for relying on them.
Yeah. No, that's all you can rely on is a DPS meter. Then there's something wrong as far as I'm concerned. There has a game. There's all a game's programmed there's glitches, there's bugs, there's all kinds of things. There isn't just that one perfect way to do it, which is DPS. I like the challenge of, we don't have enough DPS, so let's try it a different way. Even if it might not be possible, I still want to try out different scenarios to see if there are alternate ways to go about this encounter. Because 99% of the time, there is alternate ways to go about it.
See, what's funny is when the guild I was in at the time during that was ago, Frozen, the Wrath of the Lich King. That's it. And WoW, we were breaking into Nex. We were the first ones on our server to break into Nex. With the DPS meter, we basically got to the 4 horsemen, and that was it. That was our brick wall. Okay. Mm-hmm. When we told people you cannot have a DPS meter, and we used one of those ones that reported in the background, and everybody reported to keep everything consistent. And basically, if you were found with the DPS meter, you were kicked.
Yeah.
The minute we got rid of them and told people that you can review your logs later, we soared past the horsemen. We damn near cleared the entire dungeon that night. Because instead of staring at a meter, people were worried about where they were supposed to be, what they were supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. That's just my opinion, and that's my experience.
I mean, like you said, there is, there's no fault in using them. Some people do use them correctly to kind of, figure out where the strengths and weaknesses are, or even in a raid to figure out, where the weaknesses are of the raid, where we have to, strengthen ourselves, where we have to be careful, this, that. That's all well and good. Now, if there's a way to kind of modify a DPS meter system so that only a raid leader or something like that can, if it was developed from within the game, I'd be perfectly...
Well, it doesn't have to go that far. You just had to say that while you're in combat, you cannot see them.
Yeah.
Because you need to be focused on what that encounter is requiring of its players, rather than basically playing like this, watching that meter.
So,
and yeah, let's move on. So I could rant about this all day.
Yeah, we could. Maybe we'll have to do a show on this as well. So, community debate. Now, this. I had to really sit down here for a minute, and I had to really think about. Hang on a minute. So, what is your favorite character ability of all time, and why? I've got mine already. I know what mine was. Mine is what mine was. So, what about you, Lex? Have you got a favorite all-time ability?
This is a really tough one, because I've played a Necro for a very long time. Then I played every tank except the sissy tank, Paladin. And there's a lot of iconic things about them, like Warrior Mighty Strike. The Warrior ability in WoW, Titan's Grip, I think it was, where you could dual wield two-handers. I mean, that was just freaking cool as hell. I mean, I'm sorry, but but the thing I think that gets me excited the most, and this is just going to sound completely stupid, was a Beast Lord's ability to basically summon their warder, which was a model-specific pet for your raid. Because I played an Ixar. I am a huge dog lover. And the minute I saw that I had a scaled wolf, I was like, Daddy's home.
Yeah. So for me, this ability was related to the epic Warden. The Warden basically got a Klingon sword. It literally looked like a Klingon sword. It looked like that half moon thingy that the Klingons use. I don't know what the name is.
Nerd powers activate. Batleth.
Yes, there you go. That's it. So that was our epic weapon we got, and it had an ability that you had a 50% chance that every time you healed and you critted, you would get mana back. And the ability basically just critted every time. No, I never went OOM ever after I had that weapon, and that was great. But my all-time favorite ability, if anything, came from the item where you could turn into a billy pup. I loved that in EverQuest 2. Being able to click on it and turn into a little billy and then shrink yourself. I thought that was great. I used to run around town everywhere as a little billy puppet trying to sell storage boxes.
Yeah. And Texan just said that the hunter's ability to tame pets, the ability to be a beast lord with your warder, that was probably the first one that ever grabbed me, as I love this ability. Even though it was just a cosmetic pet, just a standard old pet.
Yeah.
But I do have to say that the hunter's ability to tame pets in WoW is far cooler than the warder. Even though if you had that in EverQuest 1, I would have still gotten a scaled wolf.
Yeah. Right, so July 25th. Next up, another Would You Rather. Would you rather live underwater or on top of the tallest mountain in Terminus? Explain your answer.
Well, I have an innate fear of open water, so it would be mountain all the way.
It may be in a mirror. It's going to be live underwater.
Mm-hmm.
There
You can have it.
I'm scared of heights. I'm literally scared of heights. So
I'm not the best with them, but I can get over it. But if I can't see the bottom, I don't go in it. Even then, if it's crystal clear water, I'll go up to my knees and that's it.
Yeah. So
it would have to be someone I really care about drowning for me to jump in.
July 29th. A hot topic. Surname. Choose a surname at character creation or earn it later in-game. Have your say.
Gotta go with earn it. If you earn anything, there's more meaning behind it. I remember in EverQuest 1 when people figured out you hit 20 and it actually gave you a message saying that, hey, you can have a surname if you type surname blah. Everyone's like, what?
I'm kind of like I'm at a crossroads here. I'm kind of like a mix. I would like to be able to reserve my surname prior to creating my character, so that later on in game when I do earn it, I can finally add a bio and kind of build my backstory to the whole clan of characters that I've got.
What if you had to basically get a surname at character creation, but you couldn't display it until 20?
Yeah, I'd be fine with it.
Effectively earning your right to be like, I am Yarnila Fish Sticks.
Oh, Lex.
I love that name, by the way. You have to keep it.
I am not going to be running around being called Yarnila Fish Sticks.
What about Yarnila Scarfood? It's 2 thumbs up for me.
No. My surname has been around for ages, and it will be used in game. And it will not be Fish Sticks or Scar Food or
no balls.
But yes, I might create a fun character called Yarnila Fish Sticks or something like that.
There you go. There you go. You play Pantheon. That's your character. You can be one of Yarn's. You can be a fan of Yarn, but still just be my fan. You just call your character Yarnila Fish Stick.
Right. So, August 1st. In one word. Now this. Describe your thoughts on global cooldowns for spells and abilities in one word, and then we'll get into the debate of this. This one, yes, this is a very touchy one, kind of like.
Does it trigger you?
It does trigger me, yes. I'm triggered. There you have it. One word to describe it: BS. As far as I'm concerned.
Meh. I don't care either way.
Because I've had discussions with people about this. Now, if you look at WoW, WoW has global cooldowns. You click on a spell, you got to wait for that thing to go down. They can use the next spell and everything. I find that personally a artificial way to make a game challenging. Rather, I prefer the way it's done in EverQuest 2, where your ability trees were broken down into whatever ability you were using. Was it your heals? Was it your damage spells? Was it your hots, etc., etc.? They all had their separate cooldown. There was no global cooldown, so you could basically during a fight, you would have a set of spells you would activate, and you wouldn't be stopped by this global cooldown. And it made the game more fluent. It made the game feel more challenging as well, because I think global cooldowns, especially in this day and age, if there's a global cooldown for me personally, then it means that the game has an artificial challenge behind it. There's no real challenge designed in the game philosophy, as far as I'm concerned. I think global cooldowns this day and age are just a no-go, as far as I'm concerned.
See, I don't care either way. I've been around long enough to have played games of both.
Mm.
Neither have affected my ability to tank, or DPS, or heal.
Mm.
Because it's just a different mentality. If you don't have a global cooldown and you have a spell queuing system, usually it's what's casting, what's next, and you can change that up.
Yeah.
So if I hit 3 buttons, I'm basically casting the first one and the last one next. Because that middle one gets overwritten.
Mm-hmm. Because you stand there and you click, you're hitting that button 1, you're hitting that button 2, you're hitting that button 3, but you're waiting for that thing to go round 1.
Right.
Put that in. Let me predetermine 1, and then it's I've got to go and put out a group heal, and then boom, I'm gonna go and put a dot on this encounter, and then boom, I'm gonna do this. Click, 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 click. And each spell has their own, also has its own cooldown as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there should be no need for a global cooldown.
The global cooldowns basically are just a mechanism to make you stop smashing your face on the keyboard.
Yeah, it's
to be honest, it doesn't really do that, because you can still just smash the keyboard with your face, and eventually you're going to hit what you want to hit anyway.
Exactly. Well,
you just got to hit it 3 times instead of twice.
Mm-hmm.
Or in my case, 40 times between the global cooldown start and end. So to be honest, that's why it doesn't really bother me. It doesn't ever affect the way I play. It's never killed me. It's never caused me to skip a beat. So if there's a global cooldown or if there isn't, I really don't care.
I don't know. For me, it just feels artificial, and it makes the game feel easy. It takes away that that true feeling of this game is really challenging. In WoW, I hated it. I hated it with a passion because it made the game feel easy. Even in the classic times, wait for it to go around and you hit your spell. Wait for it to go around, you hit the next spell, and they had their own cooldown. It's like so it's like one click. I get to click every 2 seconds. I get to click a spell. Where is the challenge in this? Make me feel challenged.
I ran a key counter because I was curious if global cooldowns actually stop me from hitting them as much. Because I've got my keys are always set up the same way no matter what. I've always got my taunt key. I've always got my charge key. I've always got whatever I need to do is always in a specific spot. Every game. The difference between a non-global cooldown game and a global cooldown game was like 20 key presses after a raid. So it's like it never really changed the way. It was just like I just happened to hit it a little less on this fight versus this other fight that wasn't exactly equal.
Yeah.
So if this was something VR was really concerned about, this is probably one topic where I'm like, do whatever the hell you want, I don't care.
I'm a bit more triggered there, mate. That doesn't matter anyway. So August 5th, community debate. Now this is an interesting question. How many DLCs and expansions are too many? Where should a games company draw the line, in your opinion? Now, for me, there isn't too many. It's a matter of quality content, and obviously, the only thing that would really tee me off and trigger me is if I could basically look at my calendar and pinpoint every year in November or in December or in January, the 15th or whatever, the next expansion's coming out, the next DLC's coming out. If I can pinpoint it, that's when you've gone too far. Bring quality content out in different multiple paces. It doesn't have to be every year. It just
this
has
is
to
something Brad's not going to like to hear, because I know Brad likes to have a set schedule for expansion, but honestly, it's a bad idea. Yeah. It's a very bad idea. It's nice in theory, like communism, but in practice, it's bad.
I mean,
here's why. You say every year you want to put an expansion, okay? That means no matter what happens, every year you got to put out an expansion, because if you miss that deadline after saying it, well, not all your fans, but the vocal fans are going to be grab your pitchfork and show up at your door, kind of thing. Yeah. Whereas, and here's the thing, like if that happens where you might miss this deadline, you're going to start rushing.
Yeah. And
then the expansion is going to feel like you're rushing. So why not just say we're going to work on one, and when we have a good idea of when it can come out, we'll tell you.
Exactly. But he can still have his schedule internally, have the idea for his expansions and everything, and then bring them out when they're ready, good, well, and done. And I prefer that, because people tend to rush as well. If you know that there's and the thing is, if I know that there's an expansion coming out and it ends up being like EverQuest 2, where it's rinse and repeat, then it comes to the point where I say, well, that's it. I'm done with this game. If I'm just going to go and rinse and repeat and rush through this content just so I can stay up there up front with everybody else and feel important and brush my ego, then I'm done. I'm done. Yeah. That's it. Bye bye.
It really comes down to the minute you start rushing, just stop.
Yeah.
Just stop. Because if you're rushing, you don't care about what you're doing. If you don't care about what you're doing, why are you doing it? Because everybody that plays the game is going to know that you don't care.
Yeah.
Everybody that's in chat and who watches this video can easily state one game with one expansion where nobody on the dev team gave two craps about the game. Doesn't matter what game.
I mean, it was for EverQuest 2, it was Desert of Flames. A lot of people hated that expansion when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
It just felt so ugh.
Half me. But there's going to be times where that's just going to happen.
Yeah.
Due to time constraints or things that happen that nobody knows about, like the team lead, something happened in his family, he was unavailable for 2 months, and that kind of throws a wrench in things. Stuff like that. It happens. And that's why whenever it comes towards DLCs or expansions, I always tell people, don't go on a schedule, because you're setting yourself up for just disappointment, aggravation, and nothing but hardship.
Yeah, you're definitely not going to make time. Yeah, you're not going to make anybody happy with having it on a schedule.
Right.
Because you have people like myself that, say, if I know that every year an expansion's coming out, to the day exactly, I stop playing that game because I'm not into that anymore.
Right. I mean, look at EverQuest 2.
Mm-hmm.
They put out expansions almost like clockwork.
Yeah.
I played it when it came out. I think Kingdom of Sky came out, and I think one other one. And after I was like, you know what, this is just, they're just churning these out to get money. That's all they're doing. They don't care about the game. They don't care about the lore.
Yeah.
They don't care about anything about it. It's just a money machine at this point. So I stopped playing.
Mm.
Even if there were a few expansions in the future that somebody took the reins and really gave a damn, it doesn't matter. You already lost me.
Yeah.
So why not just
bring out quality? You can't have too many. There's definitely you can't have too many. There's
the DLCs or expansions need to be like when you released your game on the first day. You need to look at it and be happy and proud about what you made.
And passionate.
Because if you're not, then you should just move on to something that you care about.
And these expansions don't always have to be mind-blowing, explosive. They can do smaller things. They can do even updates towards the game mechanics that add additional features or something like that as an expansion, for instance.
Right. I've always had a love.
We can presume that there's going to be additional races coming to Terminus.
Right.
Maybe do something on that.
Even like the content patches. It's just a free content patch. Here's some extra stuff to do. I've always had a high amount of respect for the people that do that, because you are giving people stuff to do in between expansions. It feels like you give a damn about your population, because you're like, you guys are paying a monthly fee, and that monthly fee does, there's a valid reason for that sub, but there's still no reason that you can't put out a new quest, a new zone.
I loved the adventure packs, for instance, EverQuest. There are 3 adventure packs, and I thought the idea behind them was brilliant. Sidetracking, kind of like, side stories, side missions, whatever you want to call it, that, opened up a smaller zone or something like that was basically very limited. I like the idea of that.
And Discordant Mind in chat, he or she or they actually brings up a good point a problem that I had with EverQuest 1. Which was, how many freaking continents can you find?
Yeah.
It's like when EverQuest 1 brought out the moon, I know a lot of people don't like them because of the graphic updates and whatnot. But at the time, I was like, that's a clever idea. Just don't go to, it's not on this planet, it's on a new one.
Yeah.
And then they took those wizard spires all over the world that you were like, oh, it's just the druid rings for wizards. And all of a sudden now it's like, and they also send you to the moon, and you're like, I'll be damned.
Yeah, horizontal. Think, vertically. There doesn't have to be contents. You could go underneath. Maybe something is revealed underneath the content. Where,
it could be. Don't go up, go down.
You go down. Or you've got moons and planets. That's the way to go. And
I still maintain to this day that EverQuest 1, the Kunark expansion, was probably one of the best expansions I've ever seen. Because you got a new continent, but that continent was designed for level 1 to end level.
Mm.
You got a new race. I think you got a new class. I could be wrong on that one.
If we look at the lore with Pantheon as well, I'm pretty sure, I don't know which races it is, but I'm pretty sure some of those planets they weren't all destroyed. So there might be, I think the Archives planet wasn't destroyed, they just fled, as far as I remember. Correct me in chat if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure there's planets out there though that they left, but they weren't destroyed. They could do an expansion that's just related to that particular race, where we all go there now to kind of, I don't know,
take back the planet for the rock people.
Yeah, exactly.
But see, with the very unique lore of Pantheon, I think VR has kind of set themselves up, knowingly or not, to easily implement DLCs or expansions, whatever you want to call it. Because you could have pieces of other planets crash into Terminus.
Yeah, and
you could have you could have just a new race come to Terminus. That has a new class.
Yeah.
You could send your people to a world to see what's left of it, or to a strange new world to seek out new life and new civilizations and kill them.
Yeah.
You know, so honestly, they've set themselves up in a wonderful position.
Yeah, they've definitely the way the lore is explored and put out there leaves a lot of room for the imagination to go wild. You know, they can add twists and plots and turns and dead ends and all kinds of stuff to all of the lore they put out there without breaking it down.
Yeah, Micah's even saying that in FFXI, so Final Fantasy 14. He's saying that they just sent us to a whole new world, and it worked out incredibly well. You know, and we went there to see what was left of it and save it. That fits right into Final Fantasy. You know, go there and save it. So the fact that it works so well in Final Fantasy 14, it's kind of like, it's almost one of those sure thing recipes, you know? I mean, you don't have to pop up a new continent or just like, oh, by the way, there's a city underneath you.
I would love to have an expansion. Now, let's talk about an expansion that basically predates the time we are currently in during the lore. Mm-hmm. Now, we're in the Failed Age. Right? Yep. I would love to see the Deicide War. You know, have an expansion where you're like, you just been thrown smack in the middle of it. You know?
I will admit that I think WoW did something like that where you could take portals back in time to relive some of the historic battles. I will admit that almost got me to come back. Yeah. Because that to me sounded wonderful, because I remember the Warcraft 1, 2, and 3 battles and the story and going, oh, I would have loved to feel like I'm a part of that. You know? So as long as it's done, again, as long as it's crafted well and thoughtfully, I don't see why Pantheon couldn't do it, and I would be excited to see that. Yeah. Because no one knows what the Revenant Lord really looks like. I want to see what that SOB looks like.
Yeah. There's so much they can definitely do with expansion, and there can never be too many. It's just all about quality over quantity at the end. I don't care if an expansion takes 5 years in development. Now, let's say Pantheon comes out and the first expansion comes out after 3 years. Then the next one comes out after 4. I wouldn't care, as long as the quality is there, and in between that time, you know, you have like, you know, little updates where they add in some free additional content for you to do to, you know, help pass the time. And I'd rather they kind of like lure us into an upcoming expansion without us knowing about it.
Right.
See, like hints, like you said, pieces of a planet start falling down from the Earth, you know, from out of the sky, and all of a sudden we can interact with this, and all of a sudden, you know, you get the perception kicking off, and telling you about, you know, this weird rock, you know, looks it's imitating some kind of vibrant whatever. And, you know, you need to investigate some more.
Right.
You're sitting there going, what the hell?
I've had a lot of arguments with some MMO friends of mine. Mm-hmm. And when I say arguments, I mean, we're all half drunk yelling at each other. Because I keep telling people, like, you know, the standard $14.99 sub, it's pretty much like the gold standard now. Yeah. Even though with inflation and the economy, blah, 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 it's not really, doesn't really go as far these days. But I always told these guys that I would rather pay more per month and get free expansion. Granted, you're probably paying more in the long run, because if you go from, we'll say, you know, $15, $20 as an example, $5 a month. So you're looking at what? $60 a year. So right there's usually the cost of an expansion. But if you do an expansion every 2 years, you're basically paying $120 and you get a free expansion. But anyway, because it's it's a pain in the butt to have to go buy it.
Actually, that's actually. I've already sent VR some ideas on possible subscription models, but this actually, Lex, adds to it. They could still go and do that option that you've just presented there. You could have the standard tier of $14.99, but you can also pay, let's say, $20 or $25 a month. But I
wouldn't go too crazy. I'm cheap.
No, I'm just saying. But you get the expansions for free with that $20 purchase every month. If you sub for at least a year on that tier.
Right.
Something like that. That is a great way to kind of expand the way subscriptions are looked at, because a lot of people look at it, $15 a month, and especially with MMOs games in general, they look at it and they think, right, do I have the time? Does it, does this just do the $15 a month justify it for me? Where my friend next door is out of work, he's got no life outside of himself, he doesn't have a girlfriend or anything, he spends 12 hours a day inside that game for $15. I get to play for 2 hours a week for $15. Does it justify it? That's another concern that has come into the people of our age. We aren't 20 anymore. We have families, we have responsibilities outside of gaming. We have to go and work and pay the rent and keep look after our family, go on holiday, this, that, and the other.
But we got adulting that needs to be done now.
Yeah. So but I think that's actually I think that would be a pretty cool system to have. Additionally, it's kind of similar to SOE's membership. They had silver, gold, bronze, or whatever.
All
access.
It was all access is what I think they called it.
And that would be a great way to do it. You still get the same.
But here's the thing, though: if you're paying a little extra, I would also expect from the developer that, say, an expansion takes 2 years to make, that we do get additional content between those periods, because there's nothing worse than being stuck in the same content for 2 years. Because for a fact, most of the players that are relatively active are going to make it through, I want to say 90% of that content. And that last 10% is stuff that don't really appeal to them too much.
Well, that's where
getting to playing the time kind of thing. Not a lot of people have been. Not everybody's been there, but not everybody cares to go.
That's where the mindset of development comes in. If you think about creating a world. So if Brad wants to create a world with Pantheon, which is his vision, then
do the world pass.
You could use systems like you've done all the big raid forces have done all the raids and everything. Now 2 years going through it again and again and again can be very tiring and boring, and just gets people really anxious and everything. So they could twist it up, like having a real living world where, like I said before, Black Rose Keep doesn't necessarily have to always be Black Rose Keep.
Right.
Have the game environment itself dictate the outcome of the world. Have the orcs that in Avendir's past decide to frickin' run riot on Black Rose Keep, and now there's a complete entire new zone in there, a new loot table in there that is completely different between the Black Rose zone and the orc encampment. Because they basically wiped out the Black Rose, or they've the Black Rose have fled. It would be annoying for a lot of people. I know that would be annoying because, hey, you got quests for the Black Rose Keep, but you can't really do them anymore because that NPC ain't there anymore. But maybe, this time he's held in captive. Now,
the thing is, because there are upsides and downsides to a system like that, there should be someone or a small team working on stuff like that. Yeah. But again, something like that is something that I would gladly pay a little bit extra in my sub, because I personally understand that takes money.
Yeah.
So if my sub went up from $15 to $17, but you're basically telling me that there's a team that just works on changing the world,
Mm.
Anyone who sits down to think about it is gonna be like, okay, that's kind of worth it, $2 a month, and all of a sudden now we got a world that's not a cardboard set.
I mean,
The
that's
first month.
I mean, that's the thing though as well. This free to play. It's while it is nice when you don't have any money or anything like that. While it is nice to be able to play a game for free and everything, I've always felt an MMO should be paid for. Because it's
Right.
at the end of the day, it's a living and breathing organism. It's not something that starts and finishes at some point.
In the end, it's a service.
Exactly.
If you pay someone to mow your lawn, you're paying him because he's providing you with a service.
Exactly.
But the thing with MMOs are a little different because the free-to-play model helps kind of keep it alive, although it's kind of like the free-to-play model is almost like a defibrillator on a dying game. You just go clear and hope to God that you come back to life. Because if you go into an MMO, you expect to see other people. Almost everywhere, to some extent. So if you don't, because your subs are down and now the game's kind of a ghost town, your only real option is free-to-play just to get the people in or hope that you can find a way to hook them. So that they start paying.
Yeah, but that's where the whole designing a world comes into play.
Right.
If VR and Brad can pull that off, his vision of designing a world, and take some thoughts into all of this, put the quality of life and the quality of development into every small nook and cranny that they touch on, with Terminus and Pantheon itself, then that will be the success. That will draw people in.
Now,
I mean, WoW still, you have to have a subscription. Yes, they've taken away the fact that you have to you don't have to purchase any expansions anymore. You buy the base game, or you download the free game. You get a subscription. You have access to all the expansion. I think that's great. Brilliant. That's a good.
It's very accessible.
It's very accessible. You can draw people in that way rather than that going out. I mean, but they still produce the expansions for purchase in the local stores that give you access as well. So it's kind of like optional. Do you want to have that box and that fancy cover and this, that, and the other, and you pay $40 for it, or do you want to just go and download the free trial and spend $15 a month on the sub that you got to pay for anyway, and you get access to it? I mean, options. Now, it all comes down to options at the end.
Right. Now Texan actually brings up something that is a pretty common opinion of free to play. He says free to play is just a money grab that depends on microtransactions. Yeah. I'm not going to agree because I've played almost every free to play game out there and I have not spent a freaking dime.
I mean, there are people that do. Yeah, I mean,
there are. But here's the thing: I find that free to play, like I said, is a defibrillator on a dying game.
Yeah.
Or it's a way to help boost for newer games, and it's a tool. It should be used that way. It's not a way of life for an MMO, but microtransactions are a whole other topic to where it's like if you're going to do any microtransactions, you're basically saying I'm a greedy bleepity bleepity bleep bleep and I want your money. I don't care about this game. I mean,
is there
that's the opinion. That's the feeling I get when I see microtransactions in any game.
Is there even this might actually be a discussion we'll have to do a show on, to look at this whole free to play and subscription system and see if there's actually a middle way to go about it. So basically, you have your game generally free to play, and then you have the subscription without all of this, microtransaction crap, and you can only use certain items, and you can only. What I liked about EverQuest, I hated the fact that they went free to play, but I did like the fact that you had free to play all the way up to a certain expansion. Then you had to go and buy a subscription to have access to that expansion going forth. I thought that is a great way to kind of separate it. It's like, you can play the game for free. But if you want to go and do all the cool stuff that everybody's doing right now, you have to pay for it. You have to get a subscription to have access to it. I thought that is a great system.
This is another topic that we could literally sit here for 38 hours and just talk about it.
Definitely.
So I think we're gonna save everybody's bleeding ears and let's just.
So there was one more tweet put out. I didn't capture it because I was going to actually keep that for the next Pantheon Ponderings whenever we plan to do that. But I'll bring it up anyway. So, in an in-game GM battle between Aradun and Joppa, who do you guys think would win?
Everyone knows who you're going to pick.
Who am I going to pick?
You're gonna side with your hero.
Actually, Brad. You're wrong. Actually, you're wrong. Actually, you are absolutely dead wrong. I actually think Joppa would take down Aradun with the GM powers and just annihilate him.
That's the thing. Brad is the creative director. He's also more of a figurehead. He doesn't dive into the code. He's not testing to the depth of Joppa. I mean, a lot of people are going to be really pissed at me when I say this. This isn't really a Brad McQuaid game. This is more of a Chris Perkins game. I'm sorry, Brad. Because Joppa just does more. He's got his finger in every pie on this game. You know? So when it comes down to if they got into a fight, who's going to win is going to be Joppa. I'm sorry. There's all logical reasoning says Joppa because he knows all the commands. Heck, he probably made some of the commands. He knows what bugs are currently in the game.
Brad's got the Firing Avenger and he's got the green armor.
So he's gaudy and glows in the dark. Oh my god! No, if I had to bet, I'd put it all on Joppa.
Yep, sorry, Brad. we have to side with Joppa, and maybe you guys can prove. Maybe you can prove us wrong, Brad. In the next VR stream.
Plus, Joppa's been on the show.
Yeah. There you go. There you have it.
So he's in our corner. We're in his.
Bring it. So that brings us to the end of the show today. I'm still glad things are working. 2 weeks in a row, knocking on wood. No glitches.
My DDoS bot must have failed again.
Yes, it must have. Next week we'll be sitting down with Grizzly to talk some Pantheon, see what makes him tick, and what's got him excited. What he's looking forward to.
He's my number one fan. Just so everybody knows. He's like the leader of my fan club.
And we'll see you all next Saturday. Have a great weekend. And again, Grizzly, I'll send you those questions no later by Sunday evening, European time.
Don't read them.
So have a great weekend, and yeah, hopefully by then Josh will be here with us. So take care. Guy, don't you want to say goodbye?
Goodbye.
Screw y'all, I'm out.